it's Turki Sheikh, Dana White, and TKO, Nick Khan, who is in charge of the WWE. So you're talking about Turki Sheikh, who he really is kind of running boxing, so to speak. You've Dana White, who does UFC, and then you've obviously Nick Khan, who does WWE. Three very successful men, the kind of main guys in all the regions of combat sports, so to speak. They were merging together to enter boxing, so to speak, with their own kind of, their own promotional company, for want of a better word, we'll say, right? Now, they spoke about wanting to target young up-and-coming prospects to do the big fights and to essentially make the regular belt, the BBC, IBF, etc., almost redundant, that it would just be kind of the Ring Magazine belt would be the respective, say, we'll call it the TKO belt, right? Now, when you hear that, it does sound like a very, very good thing. You're talking about absolute powerhouses in the world of combat sports coming together, all going on a joint venture in boxing. So on the surface, that actually sounds pretty good. But then you look at the model of UFC. With WWE, those guys are seen essentially as independent contractors. Now, they are paid, some of them are paid very, very handsomely, but, some of them, they're not short of a few bit of change, but, between flights, accommodation and stuff like that, and that's a year-long tour, you're on the road, God knows how many days a week. Whereas with the UFC, the undisputed heavyweight champion, or just say the heavyweight champion in boxing, be it Dubois or Usyk, in one fight could make probably, like Usyk with the Fury rematch, will make more, well, he made more money in that one fight, and if you believe the figures, 70-80 mil thereabouts. In that one fight, he made more money than probably the majority, I'd say a lot of UFC champions combined, heavyweight champions combined. So therein is the problem. If you're looking to do the UFC type of model in boxing, it won't work, because boxing, going back to since whenever, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard 3 was 87, 88. Leonard, go and look it up, he made 15 mil for that fight, thereabouts, in around that. That's in the late 80s. If I were getting 15 million now, would still be like, he'd bite your hand off. He'd be like, give me that 15 mil. So, payment was always going to be an issue. Well, everything boxing, according to Boxing Scene, are reporting on this, that the purses that TKO Boxing will be offering to its fighters, says here, obviously their purses are not going to take over the sport, so clearly this league is for lower up-and-coming guys to begin with. I'll just read you here. $20,000 US, which is going to be a little bit less in pound sterling, for a 10-round bout by a non-ranked fighter. $50,000 US when ranked by the company at number 5 to 10, 125 when ranked number 3 to 4, 375 when challenging for the company championship, you mean the Ring Magazine belt, and 750 grand when defending it. Not $1 million seen. Now, if you're Moses Atelma, and I'm going to say someone like a Johnny Fisher, although I don't rate him as a top level prospect, at the end of the day, he can fill the Copper Box Arena out. Now, let's say Johnny Fisher is, hypothetically speaking, fighting, we'll say, a Alan Babbage again, right? Or he was with TKO when he fought Alan Babbage. He filled the Copper Box out. Do you think he'd take 20 grand? Do you think Moses Atelma will take 20 grand? I know for a fact, right? I know this for a fact because I've spoken to people who at the time were very high up in boxer. I'm not going to divulge any further info. That Ben Whitaker has made, even that, this is bear in mind, this is before he fought, I forgot his name now, Liam Cameron. He was already making insane amounts of money, fighting nobodies. Right? That Ben Whitaker with Boxer, they were overpaying him apparently through the roof. I mean, through the roof, by all accounts. A lot more than 20 grand for a fight. So you're never going to lure top level prospects with that. If you look at challenging for a world title, okay, I'll give you an example. I'll give you another example, right? Michael Hunter, when he was in the running to fight Filip Hrgovic, in fact, when the purse bids were called, because they were 1 and 2 respective in the division in terms of the IBF rankings a couple of years ago, they wanted to do a purse bid. They did a purse bid. Michael Hunter just didn't want to do it because I think he would have made something like 300-400 grand in or around that, basically in or around the region they're talking about here, right? And bear in mind, this is for challenging for the title, so it's even more than maybe he'd even get, right? He was like, nah, not worth it, don't want to do that, right? 750, I can't see that working. I cannot see these figures that they have here working. If you were a very blue collar fighter, like I hate to label these in certain categories, but let's say you were a a Josh Padley, right? We'll use him as an example, right? And a lovely guy, he seems decent fighter as well. But if you were someone who was, struggling, you were on the small hall scene, you were undefeated, but you didn't have the backing, you'd look at that and think, oh my God, 20k a fight? If I fight twice a year, that's maybe a year's salary, or 3 times a year, that's a year's salary. Oh my God, that's amazing. You're supposed to tell me, you're like, 20k for a fight? Really? What the hell? I could fight 3 times a year, maybe with sponsors and everything, be over 100 grand, So I look at these payouts and I just look and think, oh my God, you are never going to lure any reasonable fighters. Now, everything boxing are saying is much lower / up and coming guys to begin with. It would have to be to begin with, because you're never going to, I just don't understand this. I mean, when defending a company title, so if you're the Ring Magazine champion, again, Fury and Usyk with their respective fights made millions upon millions. I mean, they could never have made a dime their whole career, and they have generational wealth, not just from both fights, but for one fight. And that's always been the way in boxing throughout the course of history. Larry Holmes, when he fought Mike Tyson, how much did he say Don King offered him? A couple of mil. That's in the mid 80s. And Mike Tyson generated a lot of money back then, and people had no problem fighting him because they were like, oh my God, we're getting the bag in the 80s, and that was in the millions. I mean, you take that into consideration today with inflation. I mean, God knows what the amount will be. It'd be even more now. That's what's been going on throughout the course of boxing. To now come in and say you're a defending champion, okay, you're a defending champion with, say, call it the TKO belt, and you're getting 750 grand. It's not chump change, but if you're a established fighter, if you're used to getting big paydays, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a complaint we had about PBC. But if you think about it like this, if you're a Keith Thurman, a Charlo, someone like that, who were very inactive when they were world champions, but they could make a defense once a year, and Leo Santa Cruz, another one, they can make a defense once a year and get, like, say, 1.2 mil. You can make 1, maybe 2 defenses a year, and you're getting over a mil a fight. There you go. I mean, where's the incentive to fight anyone harder when you're not getting much more after that? But you're like, man, I'm making a mil a fight, I'm happy. You're getting 750 grand a fight. I mean, it's not chump change, but if you know that that's as much as you're going to get, because you think about it like this, you're a Charlo, you're like, all right, I'm making a mil a fight, but I see Canelo over there, I could get 5-6 mil. Billy Joe, once he got his 5-6 mil, he effed off, or I think it was more than that, actually. So I look at these amounts that they're showing here, and I don't like, and to be honest with you, like I said, 20k, 50k for up and coming fighters who don't have the backing, who TKO will take a chance with. But at the same time, do they want these blue collar up and coming fighters, or do they want fighters that they can mold into stars? If you're going to mold someone into a star, a lot of them are going to be like, well, who's the highest bidder? Okay, TKO are offering me it. What's my purse is going to be looking like? 20k for my first couple of fights, 50k thereafter. Eddie, Frank, what do you have to offer? 100k first quarter? Okay, plus sponsor. All right, I'll be a millionaire by 10 fights? Deal. How do you compete with that? So I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, this, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how that's going to work. Again, certainly if you're looking to target because again, they're speaking of, up and coming fighters. They're speaking of targeting the young fighters of the world. Me and Ade spoke that Ryan, Devin and Tio will be looking to do. Ryan, Devin and Tio will not, if you offer them that kind of money, say like even the 750 grand, they will laugh at you, and they will keep laughing at you, and then they'll get up off the ground and they'll end up falling back down again because they're still flipping laughing. They're never going to take that kind of money. No way. So I look at that and I think that is that's got to change. You'll get, as I say, the blue collar up and coming fighters who no one wants to take a chance with, and you could find a diamond in the rough. You definitely could. I mean, certainly will, more than likely. But in terms of names, and at the end of the day, I will say boxing is a sport where it's not the brand that sells. So UFC, you could do that. You could have those type of purses in UFC. People could, the O2 in London, which is 10 minutes from here, you could do a UFC show there, and people will go. They don't know who's on the undercard. They don't care. It's UFC, right? You get Josh Padley, someone like that, no disrespect again to those guys, and say it's a TKO show in the O2. Who's on it? Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? Not watching. That's what they'll do. That's literally what they'll do. Whereas you say there's a show in the O2, oh, who's on it? Joshua? Anthony Joshua's fighting? Oh, I gotta go. Or, you know, Tyson Fury. Oh, Tyson Fury's fighting? Oh my God, I gotta go. Something like that. It's altogether different. The names in boxing are bigger than Matchroom, they're bigger than Sky, they're bigger than TNT, The Zone, etc. So it's altogether different. I don't think that's going to work, quite frankly. But I could be wrong. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. And until next time, peace.